before we start that we'll know each other. Okay, Nathan?
Okay, Guy. We are okay, people. Yeah. Good morning. We are now on air live. Keep going. Guy.
Hi, Nathan. Welcome.
Let's make
Thank
you guys. And sorry.
Okay. You can start. We are with Nathan from Phlux, right? Phlux from Australia. And you are with the Kolam team. It's the Direct Democracy Party in Israel. And we will be happy to cooperate and see what you are doing in Australia and just to know each other for later on to cooperate. So welcome to our conversation, and we will be able to hear what's going on in Australia in the political area with the party that runs to the government to your parliament, and also about the technology that you created. So you are with the Kolam team, and let's start.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys like, I'm happy to maybe start by giving you guys a little bit of the background in our journey so far, and up into where we're at in terms of the technology as well. So I'm happy to, as long as you guys are happy to listen for a little bit, give you the story, and I'll try and keep it as concise as possible.
Okay.
If that sounds good. Okay. So our journey begins back in 2015 when we founded the Phlux Party, the Federal Phlux Party. So Australia is a federation of 6 states, and so we started with the Federal Party. So we ran for a federal election here in Australia. The party was originally founded with the idea of find a way to let minor parties have more access to parliament. So here we have, I'm not sure what it's like in Israel, but here we have quite a lot of minor parties, and those minor parties don't tend to get elected. It can be quite difficult to do that. But they often have valid interests or points that they want to convey in Parliament, and no really good way to do that. So we were actually interested in finding a way to have minor parties, in a sense, cooperate, since most of them are single issue parties and they don't necessarily have a wide range of issues. They just have 1 or 2 issues that are really important to them. And that was where it began. And then it became much, much bigger than that. So the idea behind Phlux, I guess, is a little bit different than typical direct democracy. And if you guys have had a look at our website, we particularly promote a model called issue-based direct democracy, which we think really has the potential to completely transform society. So for us, it's not just about giving power back to the people. It's also reorganizing political power so that we can be more efficient and more effective. And so that those of us who are best suited, I suppose, to making certain decisions are in the position to make those decisions. So we moved toward that idea. We moved away from the political part, supporting political parties, and toward more of a broader, or how we could apply this more broadly to society. So the Phlux Party since 2015 or early 2016 has grown to almost 7,000 members here in Australia, which is, for a political party here, quite significant. Our Greens Party, for example, 1,000 members, so we're about halfway there to the Greens Party. We have since registered the party in several other states of Australia. So we're now registered in Western Australia, Queensland, and we're in the Australian Capital Territory. And territory. We've also elections since the federal election, the Western Australian state election, which we came very, very close to winning a seat in. Only a few hundred votes actually in it. We just missed out. So our objective really at this point in time, we're quite focused right now together on the state steering committees, but we're looking at building a sort of a federal body, all of those organisations, and prevent work everyone can get them on others' time and effort that everyone puts in. We're also focused on growing internationally. So we've been approached by quite a number of people in other parts of the world, namely the United Kingdom, the USA, and some folks from South America as well. We haven't really had a whole lot of resource to help support those guys, and so I guess our international growth has been slow to date, but we do have plans to hopefully spark that up quite a bit in 2018.
די, אולי את יכולה לטפל בזה שהוא יגיע?
יש לו את הקשר.
הנה, חזר פה.
אורי, אם אתה יכול לקבות את המצלמה, אולי זה... היי נתן.
I'm sure you guys lost me.
Yeah. We'll close the camera. Maybe it's going to make a better connection.
Okay, sure. I can do that.
Ask from Uri to close this camera also, and we'll listen to you.
Okay, that might be better.
You can continue. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so where was I? So we are interested in taking issue-based direct democracy all over the world. We think it's a really, really innovative way to solve the problem of democracy. We think it's going to work really, really well. And then that's, I guess, where as an organization Flux is at. From the technical side, and I guess the technology is one of the things that led us down this path. So Flux's co-founder, Max Kay, is a really, really talented blockchain engineer. He's been working on blockchain technology since 2011. So he was actually, well, since 2010, really. So he was one of the first or one of the early contributors to the Ethereum project. So that just to give you an idea of his sort of pedigree in the blockchain world, he's really been around for quite a while. But Max discovered that by using blockchain, we could build a voting system that would essentially allow us to remove the need for trust in a voting system, remove the need for a trusted third party to facilitate voting. And this was really a major breakthrough, so that when we put a vote to members or to citizens, all of those members and citizens can actually publicly verify the results of any vote that's taken place independently, and they don't need to rely on us to prove that their vote has been counted, conducted fairly and equitably for everyone involved. So that was a really, really major breakthrough. We also made some pretty big innovations in scalability. So we can also have very, very high numbers of people voting and mitigate against risks of things like DDoS attacks and also mitigate costs. Obviously, cost is a big factor associated with this, especially if you're doing high frequency voting, and direct democracy tends to be very high frequency voting. So we needed a very scalable solution that could handle lots of votes and not be super expensive. So the technology that we I guess we brought forward does all of those things, and with that we founded a company. So Secure Vote essentially is responsible for building this tech. It commercializes it not just for our purposes, but for the purposes of doing any mass election, hopefully one day, and particularly right now, it's focused on delivering this for blockchain-based organizations, so crypto or decentralized autonomous organizations that operate on a sort of token-based ecosystem. We implement governance and voting for those kinds of organizations. Secure Vote was founded, though, to really provide this tech for free to any direct democracy organization. So Flux, obviously, is one of those, and there are others around the world like yourselves that have expressed interest in using that technology to run their own direct democracies, and we intend to make that technology available for free for direct democracy organizations. In terms of the tech's progress, we've made quite a lot of progress in the last 6 months, and we're hoping in the next few months to release a working beta that we can roll out to political parties like Flux and yourselves, and we've got some other projects as well that we're working on. So that'll be a public app that'll be available via Android and iOS, and that's, I guess, hopefully a reasonably tight summary of our journey so far and where we're at. Are you all still with me?
Yeah, we're with you.
Well,
Okay.
so now the technology works, I understand.
The technology does work, yeah. So Secure is currently implementing this technology for an organization called Swarm Fund. And if you're interested in the blockchain space, I definitely recommend having a look at it. Swarm Fund are a decentralized investment platform with the idea to sort of democratize investment. So it essentially makes certain classes of asset or investment that were previously unavailable to, regular retail investors, now available to lots of people using cryptocurrency. And Secure Vote builds their governance system, and it works quite well today. So that goes live in a few weeks' time.
Let's do talk about, first of all, about the political situation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a party that is in the parliament right now that uses it?
Oh, sorry, Guy. You're breaking up a little bit there.
The Phlak's party is in. About the political situation, what's going on about the political situation? First of all, before we get to the technology, are you still in the parliament? How many seats did you got there?
Oh, so we're not a parliamentary party at this stage, so we haven't been successful in winning a seat yet. We're intending to contest the next federal election, which I think will be at the end of this year. But Phlak's is not yet a parliamentary party, no.
Not yet.
We haven't won a seat.
And you are going to run the next elections?
Yeah, that's right.
Just like we are going to do. So
it sounds like.
And the technology works just in a how did you call this organization about that applies this?
I'll pop it in the chat there. Their website is this. So this is who we've built. So this is on the commercial side of what we do, but yeah, we've been building this for this organization, Swarm Fund.
Okay. And it is developed. The Phlak's is developed on JavaScript, I understand. Right?
No. So most of the things so we're using some technology called Elm and Haskell predominantly to code this up. Yeah, that's all functional programming languages.
Okay. Who is here?
Sure. Hey Nathan, my name is Dvir. I talk with you by the emails. Is software is open source?
Yeah, so the software will be source code inspectable, but not open source in the traditional open source sort of sense. That being said, as I mentioned earlier, we want to make this software free for direct democracy parties to use without having to pay for it. So it's yes, the license will be sort of a hybrid license model. It will be not free for certain kinds of organizations and free for others. And you're open to make changes and modifications to that, provided it's not for commercial use.
Yeah, I would like to ask. I understand that you don't have any agendas, if I understand right.
Mm-hmm.
You said the only agenda is to change the system.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
No agenda that people relate to that, or they say, okay, if you don't have agenda, we need to see some kind of agenda.
Occasionally
we have here.
Yeah, it's we definitely had that problem in the early days. People would say, well, you've got to, you have to stand for something. And we've found it hard, especially in terms of marketing. It can actually be really tricky when you're trying to rally people around the idea and market that, on social media, when you actually are trying to be independent of a particular policy platform. It's actually really, really hard. And I'm sure you guys have found that and will continue to find that. We just resolved really early on that our mission with this was really about democratic change and not about any particular idea of our own, and that we intended to be as neutral as we possibly could be. So, that's been a real challenge. But what we found is that the people who get the reasons why we've done that, become our strongest supporters. And it's actually brought together people from both sides of politics. And it's kind of exciting to see, when you have people who really, have different political ideas, but all agree that democracy's got to change. So, I guess it's really up to you guys how you choose to tackle that problem. But for us, we decided to, stay true to that sort of mission and not pick any policy platform.
And how do you know that people relate to the technology? Does they sign in? Does they register to the party? What kind of relationships do you have with the people?
Yeah, so most of our members, we essentially have gained almost all of our members online via our website. We have a sign-up form there, and we manage, and that their sign-up details go into our membership database, which we then obviously manage. We can connect with them via email. In terms of the application itself, that would need to be a separate process, and there are several ways that we can onboard people into that process. But for something, and until we're in Parliament, really, the simplest way is just to do an email and mobile phone verification. But then eventually you can do things like cross-checking people's details with the electoral roll, or some other form of identification that only they can provide.
And how do you fund all this? How do you advertise?
So when we started Flux, Flux essentially received a donation from the company that was building the technology. So I guess Flux and Secure Vote have kind of a little bit of a shared past, or rather they sort of came around at the same time. And Flux was a beneficiary of donations from the company. Now, obviously, that's not really sustainable for a startup to be making political party donations. So now, really, we sustain ourselves from donations from the members. And actually, finance is a really big challenge for us in 2018. And we're looking at some ways to raise money at the moment. But that was how we got our start.
Okay. I'll tell you just a little bit about us, because we also start as volunteers, and it's like 3 years now that we are doing it, and we find it very hard to break through without money, because advertising is the biggest problem right now. So this is why I asked. Amos, would you like to ask some questions?
Nathan, I would like to know if you have any intention or plans to do something for the process of before voting. People have to raise the problem, to discuss the problem that they would like to vote on. Do you touch this section of the process?
Yeah, so we have a mechanism for how we think this will work in issue-based direct democracy. And I'm not sure if you've happened to read our white paper, which goes into how this works. But one of the mechanisms in this system is that there are essentially two kind of two values that you hold as a voter. One is that you have your vote for every single issue, but then you also accumulate a token by abstaining on certain votes. And essentially this token would let you propose new issues. So you would have to spend it, essentially destroy it in a sense, to raise a new issue. The idea here is that we need a mechanism to prevent spam. So we need to stop people from, say, raising 50,000 issues a week, because otherwise your system becomes cluttered and completely inefficient. So by introducing a sort of a very small barrier to raising a new issue, which essentially comes in the form of a measurable political point, then you incentivize people to only put forward strong ideas, or ideas that are actually meaningful and not nonsense. And so in a sense, this kind of works in a sort of market way. I guess there are a lot of market mechanics at force in this ecosystem, but there is an incentive to be responsible with the way that you propose new issues.
With the coin.
That's right. Yeah. So the idea with this token is that it essentially allows the value of a vote. So for instance, in issue-based direct democracy, we're incentivizing people to not vote on everything. We don't want everyone to vote on everything because not everyone is skilled and knowledgeable at everything. So we don't think that it makes sense for everyone to vote on everything, but we want to give everybody equal access to everything. So what this means then is that we need to just let people of their own volition decide what to and what not to interact with, what decisions to and not to be part of. And the best way to do this is to create an economic, sorry, I shouldn't say economic, but I mean, it's an economic principle, but I guess political incentive not to vote on things. And so by abstaining, the voters who don't want to vote or who do want to vote spend this token, and the voters who do want to vote get the token, and this allows them to translate their political power across time and issues. And this is how we essentially we encourage specialization around political issues rather than trying to force everyone to vote on everything.
It's like the liquid feedback of the Germany party.
I'm not too familiar with that example, Guy, but perhaps.
Okay, the token is not like a Bitcoin or ICO coins that been deployed to the system.
No, it's not a sort of a crypto coin in that sense. It's not something that would be tradable on the market. It's completely internal to the system. It's not something that you can send to another address, for instance, like you can with a cryptocurrency. So I mean, obviously it's not, you can't trade it for money.
Okay. Does the system have debates scene like to talk and discuss about a document and specific parts in the document itself, like to talk about the document and agree about sentences in the document? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like discuss.
Do you mean like a technical white paper?
Yeah. Like take Google Docs, but
yeah.
Let me try to explain it better. If you have an idea and you want to create a plan and you want the people to be involved in the plan, like writing together a document, you have a system to do that.
I understand. We don't. There are, though, there are other organizations that are working on these kinds of solutions. We see Flux, I mean, to date at least, we've designed the decision-making part of this new, democratic ecosystem. But there are lots of other people working on collaboration tools that, for all intents and purposes, can interface very easily with Flux, and it's non-trivial. There's one organization in Australia called New Vote, I believe, who are building a project like this, where it's sort of more about collaboration and how you actually create ideas and have people work together. But yeah, there are many of these kinds of tools out there, and it's very easy for us to interface with them. But we personally, or we rather as an organization, don't do that.
How many people does work on Flux? Developers? Do you have a team that works on it regularly?
Yeah, so the technical team is quite small. So the Secure Vote team at the moment is 4 people actually committed to working on tech, a couple of engineers and then a couple of sort of design and support. And then the party itself obviously is about 7,000 members, and so from a technical point of view, we're a small and tight team, and I guess it's because it's a company. So all of the technology is not built by the party; it's exclusively built by the company.
And they're volunteers, or they're employed?
Yeah, they're employed. Yeah. So on the party side, everyone's a volunteer. All of the leadership of the party, the campaigners and those kinds of things are members. Everyone's a volunteer, but in terms of the technical construction, because there is a commercial aspect to it, and the software can be sold to government or to corporates or other organizations, everyone's an employee of that company.
Nathan, I have a question about the token. I didn't understand enough well. Can I give someone my token to vote for me?
Yes.
Can I give? Yes.
Yes. So what you can do is, well, you can't give them your token, but you can give them your vote, and they can accumulate the tokens on your behalf. So you can't transfer the tokens to someone, but you can nominate a delegate, and every time a new vote comes up, your vote immediately goes to that person, and that person can choose to vote with your vote, or they can choose to abstain. And if they abstain, then they can essentially accumulate the points that you would otherwise get, and you would do this because you want that person represents your interests. So part of the system is delegation. So presumably we don't all have the time for this. So you can trust someone else to essentially represent your interests and focus in a similar way that you might if you did have time.
Okay, so how do you assure that corruption won't gonna be like? How do you assure that corruption won't gonna start from those tokens? Like if you give me your token, I will give you, I don't know, money or something like that.
Well, we can't do that, but you can't really do that ever. So there are limitations on what we can and can't do, but this is a system that makes that much harder to do, especially at a large scale. So because you now have a system that is completely transparent, it becomes much harder to conceal these kinds of corruption from large amounts of people. The other thing is that part of the system is that the people who receive votes don't or can't determine who is sending them their vote. So, for instance, if you say to me, "I'll give you, $100 if you delegate your vote to me," I can take your money and I can not delegate my vote to you, and you can't prove that. So when you try to do this, maybe if you can hold a gun to my head, you can make me show you my phone. But you can't do this for hundreds of people or thousands of people. It becomes almost impossible to do at a large scale. So yeah, we can't stop that kind of behavior, but we can disincentivize it and make it extremely difficult.
Okay, because the people who get the tokens don't know from who you get it, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's right. One feature of this voting system is anonymity. So digital anonymity in voting systems has been a big challenge, and it's one of the reasons that we don't see a whole lot of internet voting around the world. But that's one of our major innovations here as well. So we have an algorithm that can take a group of voters and shuffle them in such a way that nobody can tell how they voted. So we can apply this to things like delegation as well. So you don't know who is delegated to you.
How can we see it or check the technology? How can we? It's easy to install and maintain. Like if I want to do it now, what do I need?
So at this point, Guy, it's not something that I can point you towards. We don't have a public release yet. We're hoping to do that either by the end of this quarter or early next quarter. But it's not something that I can point you to right now.
Okay. Do you know other systems like about the Spanish system called the Consul?
No, this is the first I've heard of it.
Okay, so we are using now a technology that comes from Madrid, from Podamos. It's called a Console. It's working in like 50 cities around the world.
Right.
We'll be happy to share with you the system so you can also see it. I would like to ask, so you have no video? Okay. You don't have any kind of video that shows your system, I understand?
No, not yet. So look, our system is one that I guess has required quite a lot of work and quite non-trivial work as well. And as I said, we're a small team, so getting it to production ready has taken a lot longer than we thought. But yeah, like I said, hopefully sometime, probably more like the start of the second quarter or mid of the second quarter of this year.
And the video we saw, the clip we saw in YouTube, technical helped him with your wants. You made a beautiful video, first of all.
Yeah, thank you. I had a friend who does animation. He was kind enough to give us a video.
Okay, Guy,
Guy, you're breaking up a little bit there.
Yeah, go.
Okay, I have a question about how you work with your followers, with your members, with the people, about creating bills to the governments or to the federal government. Do you have any system about it? Do you have any flow systems? And somebody raise up a bill until you vote and improve it?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, we do have a system for how that works in issue-based direct democracy, but we've yet to actually implement that. We're not a party that, I mean, I guess how do I describe this? We're not so much a traditional party that incorporates direct democracy, where we're purely a vehicle for the decision of the people. So no, we don't internally formulate policy in any way, and we don't provide any vehicles for that. We leave that entirely up to the constituency. But as I said, not being a parliamentary party, to date, we've never had a need for that kind of process.
So, are you intending to be elected in the governments, local governments, or until the federal government to get into your Congress or something like that?
Yeah, so I mean, we'll run. Hopefully, from here on out, we'll run in every state and federal election. Well, until we get elected. That's our intention. Obviously, local councils are a little bit easier to do, but I mean, from our part, there's a lot of work at an organizational level that we need to do to, I guess, gear up the membership to have success at an election. I mean, one of the things that we've found is that, having a lot of members is really good, and we have quite a few, so that's great. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the organizational side to actually contest these. And admittedly, last year we probably didn't do a good enough job of building that kind of organizational skeleton, sort of from around which to rally everyone else. So that's really a big part of this year for us, is making sure that we've got the network and the support structures in place to actually be able to go out and contest a lot more elections and a lot more frequently, and hopefully with a lot more success than we've had to date. So yeah, we do intend to run in as many elections as we can.
And also, if I'm getting down more into are you intending to be also in cities halls, small cities halls, villages, all over, the people?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Look, this is something that we think works. Can work in small towns and cities and at local council levels. We've actually had someone run before at a local council election before, albeit unsuccessfully. The limitations that we've had to date, though, has just been like our resources. So Max and I, in addition to having founded the Flux Party, founded Secure Vote, and for the past 12 months, really getting that company off the ground and in a position to actually go out and develop and commercialize the voting system has been one of our biggest priorities. So we haven't had a chance to really pursue a lot of those local councils as much as we would have liked, though we do identify that there are definitely an opportunity there, and actually probably a much easier opportunity to start with than, say, trying to tackle a federal election. So, we recognise that, but to date haven't pursued it a whole lot.
I've got a technical question, Nathan, about the identification of the people that vote. If you are on a blockchain, how do you identify the people that they are registered in the city hall? I understand. This question is brought up by the Spanish team. They said, okay, the guys the people that they vote here in the system, they are registered in the city hall. They are already in the city hall. You are not. You are. I understand. the Spanish team could not do that because you understand the blockchain, you cannot identify people by their ID or something like that.
Well, that's not entirely true. So you can still use a blockchain in an environment where you have known parties. So what's involved in that is essentially an onboarding process whereby a known ID is given a cryptographic ID. And the process of doing that, there's no excellent solution for that yet, but it's just a matter of someone verifying who they are by demonstrating a license. In Australia we would use a driver's license, but it could be any other sort of public identifying, public identifier, and then it's just a matter of matching that with a cryptographic ID.
I think that there are identifying the people that are registered in the city, from the city hall, because they won the elections there. They are now the party that they took the elections in Madrid and Barcelona. So now they are taking all the people that are registered in the city from the city hall computers. And that's why they had a problem with the blockchain. I don't know why exactly.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm personally not an engineer. I'm not a software developer. That's my co-founder Max. But I really can't speak to what challenges they face. But yeah, we've managed to devise a pretty robust system that can use blockchain for this purpose to great effect. So.
The question that I want to bring up, we are talking with many developers all over the world about the methodology and how to create the right way to run direct democracy. How can we help in the development? How can we talk together? And it's the same. When I look at it, I see already 3 or 4 systems, and they're all doing the same things. I really wonder.
Well, yeah. Look, I mean, we came into this, when we started the company. The company's mission really is to be fuel for this, this movement. Not just fluxes, but happening now around the world with people, trying to promote a better form of democracy. I mean, the reality is we can't keep going on with the way it is, so we need something better. And for us, we wanted to make a company that could help be the fuel for that. So, our objective is to hopefully release you guys something that is ready, is rock solid, and as soon as it's ready into your own organisation at no cost. That's our objective, and I hope that we can do that before the middle of the year.
In the middle of the, and then we have. To do it in Israel, we have to make a localization, and also to make it in Hebrew.
We'd love. I mean, yeah, that would be awesome. If you guys are prepared to sort of help out with that part of it and make that available, and then again, it becomes available to any Hebrew-speaking people in the world. So that's awesome.
Okay. I'd be happy to know the stuff we need for that, the technical. Requirements that we need, and if you can just send us later on the technology and the development suite that you use, because we have to. A lot of people, a lot of volunteers are talking with us and want to know who is qualified to use the system or to localize it. And we can also, if we have this stuff, you can contribute to your code also later on.
Yeah, well, it might be worthwhile, like having a chat to my colleague. But I mean, most of what we're doing is I mean, the back end and the blockchain stuff is close to completion, very close to completion. Now building out the user interfaces and the user experience. But in terms of how the technology is going to be rolled out, I mean, our vision for this has always been making it mobile app accessible and extremely easy to use for anyone. So you would have an Android and iPhone app, And that would be easily downloadable from the Apple Store, and then there would be an administrator interface that could be accessed via a desktop computer. So the administrators can set up votes and essentially administer the democracy that you've set up from a computer as opposed to from a smartphone. But that's really everything that's needed.
Okay.
Nathan,
Any more questions?
Nathan, is it possible for us to use your video or part of your video, which is very nice?
I probably need to consult with some other people before I can say yes to that. Maybe, but I can't give you a definite yes. I'll have to get back to you.
Okay.
So it's not only my decision to make.
Cool. We want the videos and the animations make your video, so we can make it more connecting to Israel.
Yeah, so we've done this in the past for organizations that wanted to start, particularly a Flux chapter, and that's sort of one of our objectives is actually to, create a Flux organization in every country in the world that is promoting specifically issue-based direct democracy. And so we've been happy to do that, but just in terms of another organization. I just have to consult with other people before I can make that call.
Is direct democracy?
Sorry?
This is direct democracy, same, different system. Meanwhile, because you don't have a system yet, but we run a direct democracy also. It's I'd be happy also to talk about the to arrange political meeting like with your party leaders. And I'd be happy to do like here in Israel, the news doesn't show about direct democracy arrangements worldwide. They don't show it because I think they are frightened from that.
Probably.
The TV channels are ruled by people that run the government, also the money, wants the money. So I think that they know what's going on worldwide, but they don't show it. And I want to make a meeting, like a political meeting, that they will show also the political party in Australia, if it's can be arranged. Who runs the party in Australia?
Oh, well, that's myself and my co-founder. Sorry, guys, I'm getting another call coming through, which I've just got to cancel. Sorry, that's myself and my co-founder Max. But we're in the process of transitioning to like a council, so that there's more people involved in that leadership.
So I'll be happy to make a political call like this. That be planned with 5 people from you, 5 people from us, or 4 and 4 to talk about the situation here in Israel, the situation in Australia, and to show that there is a similarity worldwide, like all around the world, those arrangements occur. And there are countries that did very nice achievements in the elections, like in Australia and in Spain, and we have to show it out. Also in Australia, I think that if you know that in Israel there is a party that does it, so it will. It's good news for you also and for us also. So if it can be arranged, if you got more 3 guys that can join us and do this kind of interview, I'll be happy to do it. Is it okay?
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I think perhaps so. Just if I can understand that, the purpose of this would be you would record this, you'd produce video content out of this. Is that the idea?
Yeah, and you also let's look. You have a Facebook page and you have your own website that you run in Australia, I believe, for the political party. We have also Facebooks and a lot of teams, and the people there want to know what's going on worldwide. So Australia, that there is a party in Australia that does direct democracy, like this is news for them. I'll be happy to show it. For us, this is for us. I think that when people talk with me from different countries and they know that there is a direct democracy in Israel party that runs, so it motivates them to do also, because I don't know, everybody looks about Israel, if you know what I mean. Like,
yes,
it's we are a small country, but we are in the news everywhere. So it's news also for Australia, I think. So I'll be happy to do this live conversation that will be broadcast also here and also in Australia, and just for the promotion. Is it okay?
Yeah, look, I mean, potentially. Again, something that I've got to talk to my team about. I guess the big thing for us is, and I know this may sound, I guess, trivial because maybe the differences are so small. I mean, what we're promoting, I guess, in some ways is a little bit different. But in principle, I'm interested in that. So maybe we can continue the conversation and see what that looks like, and I'll consult my team about it.
Oh, great. Great. So we have already two issues to deal. There is a demo that we can look about the technology somewhere.
Oh, not one that would be particularly of interest to you guys yet, not yet, Guy, but we're working on that.
So it's the technology is for the future. We cannot now look at it and see it.
Yeah, no, I'm afraid not. Like I said, it's so I guess if you can think about this from this angle, we, both Max and I, when we started Flux, we wanted to be able to devote as much time as this to this line of work as we possibly could. And part of that was to start the company so that we could make this also our work. And so our commitment really has just been working on this for the company's current client. But obviously, Flux and organisations like yourselves benefit once that technology is built, because we want to make that publicly available for direct democracy organisations. So, yeah, regretfully, I cannot show you anything right now, but we're working towards that.
Okay. Just woke us up. It's now it's 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, after everybody were hanging out yesterday. I don't know who, but I want to thank the guys that joined us here from Israel, because and say Shabbat Shalom also for Australia.
Very good, Guy. I have Nathan. I have one more question, if you please.
Yes.
How often and how much do you work with other social medias like Twitter and how it's called?
Instagram.
Instagram and mostly
social media.
Social medias.
Yeah. So predominantly we've just used Facebook. We do have a Twitter account, but it doesn't get anywhere near as much attention as our Facebook does. In Australia, Twitter is not nearly as popular in Australia as it is in other parts of the world. We haven't really used Instagram at all. So really, it's most of our social media presence is on Facebook. That's where we've had our most success. We're definitely interested in pursuing other social media platforms, but it just comes down to having the resources and the people who understand those platforms really well and the time to be able to commit to a campaign on those platforms. But yeah, today really just Facebook. But Facebook has worked really, really well. Running, if you can put together a handful of really, really well thought out Facebook ads, you can actually, really generate a lot of interest for not a whole lot of money. So yeah, I mean, I'm big fan of Facebook for that, but yeah, otherwise we haven't tried too many other things.
Mm-hmm. Where do you live?
I live in Sydney. I'm just on the north side of the harbour in Sydney.
Oh yeah, bingo.
I'd like to ask another question at the same issue of direct democracy all over the world, because we like to make connections with, like every country we can get connection with parties that have a direct democracy agenda. So if you have names of parties like in Britain and other countries, we would like you to share it with us.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I mean, most of my experience so far overseas has been with people who are particularly looking to start, who are interested in issue-based direct democracy and want to start a flux party themselves in their country. So I don't have too many good relationships with any, or with a whole lot of direct democracy, pure direct democracy organizations. But absolutely, if any come across me, I'd be happy to introduce you guys.
Okay, because in Google, it's also very hard to get to these parties. It's like you cannot find them. You need to really search forever. And the one that connect us was based on technology searching. So we have some connections also. So maybe it will be good for us and for you, like creating news, because the official media does not show anything about it. So we need to show it to the people. It's also helping to explain to them, look, what's happening around the world.
Yeah, I agree. It is actually quite a shame that it doesn't get nearly as much attention as I certainly think it deserves. We were fortunate in that we had a little bit of publicity at the last federal election, and we hope to again, but it's not easy to get. It's really hard. So yeah, I agree with that. I think that there does need to be far more on what we're doing.
I'll be happy. I just talked about it with Dvir here. I'll be happy to arrange a group in Facebook that is direct democracy worldwide, that people will get acquainted from all over the world. People that work on the technical stuff and also on the political stuff. I'll be happy that you will join this group. It will be a small group in the beginning, but it will grow up. So let's start and just collaborate all over the world. Is it okay with you, Nathan?
Yeah, look, absolutely. As I've said to you before, we're very, very serious about the system that we put forward. And one of the reasons for that, and I have to be completely candid, is because we don't think actually that pure direct democracy is a good idea. Actually, we think that potentially it's very, very dangerous. This is why we've developed the system that we have, because we think it addresses a lot of the problems that are surrounded with pure direct democracy. And so from a philosophical point of view, I guess we find ourselves in sort of this tricky position. But look, in principle, I'm interested, but I guess in terms of how closely we can align ourselves in this way, I'm not too sure. I mean, our objective has always been to try and spread this particular ecosystem. But look, I mean, these conversations are always interesting to me.
Nathan, let's put the technology aside. I mean the technology.
Oh no, this is not. I don't mean the technology. I mean actually the democratic process.
Exactly, the process
so,
itself.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not sure if you've read our white paper, but I definitely recommend doing that. It's called Redefining Democracy. It's on our website, and if you're interested in this, then I strongly recommend you check it out, because it is. We think we've solved the problems that are associated with pure direct democracy, and I guess that's one of our differentiators in this space. And I would, we want really people to. We want to share this with people, and hopefully have people understand or agree with us, and identify that there is something, some more thinking beyond just direct democracy to be done. But I mean, look, I mean, in principle, of course, I think we share the spirit. We all share the same vision and spirit for what we see in terms of a world that is, far more, is more empowering for regular people to be involved. And that, I think, is a common spirit.
I agree.
Can you send us the link for the article?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just pull it up, guys, and I'll pop it in the chat.
שומעים אותי?
כן.
כן. Nathan, I agree with Said. And I want to tell you that when I look about the technology, and I look at 25 years ago and now, I know that the technology and the processes will be much better in 10 years, and it all will go ahead. But we're talking about the process in the worldwide idea about the people, about the giving back the power to the people somehow, and arranging the corruptions that goes all over the world. It's the same. It's like the process itself and not the technology. I'm talking about the group that will to communicate about what's going on in the political area. I want to know that you have elections, and if you can help, we can help from here, maybe. And let's collaborate. That's what I say.
I understand. All right. Yeah. Look, in principle, I'm interested in having more conversation about that.
Yes. So we are talking about the collaboration worldwide. Also, let's collaborate. Okay. And the systems. I'm sure that we in 10 years will have. We cannot imagine also what we'll have in 10 years because the technology runs ahead so quickly. You know what I mean? Let's do direct democracy worldwide.
Sorry, I missed the last part there, Guy.
I say let's do direct democracy worldwide. Whatever systems they run everywhere, let's do direct democracy. Let's achieve the dream. Okay. So great. Dvir, you wanted to say something?
No, I said what I wanted.
Great. Friends, someone more that have a question or something to ask Nathan? Nathan, do you want to ask something about Kol Ha'am?
Yeah, I mean, when did you guys form? How did you guys get together, and what was what led you guys to coming together and forming your organization?
We started different groups that got arranged together and we started talking about the methodology and how to do the processes. We created the platform of the technology. First of all, we started developing here about the methodology that we build and the processes that we build, doing circles and the different processes like voting together and the groups that were talking. So we started this technology development and started arranging the political party that needs money here. Everybody are volunteers, all of us. So it's all on us. We did it by ourselves, and we have now all the systems that we need to run. So now we are starting to run and market a bit. In the next couple of months, we'll have the first 100 people that join the political party. Now we have the ability we call it hitpakdut here, like registration to the party. So we got it just now, and we are growing. I think that we are now about some 100 people that are working in different circles around the party, and we got a few thousands that watch us and starts following, and I don't know. I think that we are about to explode soon.
That's awesome. That's great.
And all the
congratulations.
All the people that you see here, and I'll be happy that you know them. They were everybody is putting his share in this party in different technical groups. Orly is from the technology group. Amos made is now in charge of about the finance and the economics. how do you say תקנון in English, Amos?
The rules of the party.
Yeah. Dvir is from the communication team. Dror is from the צוות, we call it, it's the group that handles all the
leader groups.
So, and all of us are volunteers in this party. And I think that we are going to surprise here the election. That's all.
And when is your election?
It's supposed to be in November next year.
Right. Okay. So you've got plenty of time to get things together.
But
that's
things
awesome.
are stable here. The election can be in a few months because there is a big rush about Bibi and his and a lot of corruption that we see here in the government. So the election can be easily in 3 months. You cannot expect what will happen.
Wow.
Well, the situation here is that people are getting out and demonstrate almost every week for a year now about the corruption of the government. And every week we hear a new thing about new corruption. So direct democracy is the direction to clear that out. The only way to clear that out, because that's the only way to separate between the government and the people that own the money that rule the country through the government. And that's
I think we're all definitely aligned on that one.
Like it actually started at 2011 with the big protest, but since then a lot of groups got together and started to create ideas how to get out of the situation, because the government actually did nothing about what we tried to achieve there.
Actually, what's happening now is that there are few large investigations of corruptions in the government systems, which are coming to be closed, and we're expecting that very soon Netanyahu will be charged in 2 or 3 cases in about, we don't know, but this is the expectation now that they will decide pretty soon if he's going to be charged and tried, and that means voting, elections again.
And this is the Prime Minister they're talking about charging?
Yes, Prime Minister.
Wow.
Not just the Prime Minister. So many ministers are in investigations, something like 6, even 7 ministers in investigations, and also it's all corrupted.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. We don't hear a lot about this in the news. I mean, this sounds like a very significant situation for you guys, but we don't hear much about this at all in our media. So, you know, unless you were paying close attention, you wouldn't have any idea.
Wow, you don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, it's very rarely spoken about in the mainstream media here. Very rarely.
Because your mainstream media is like getting their stuff from our media, and our media show nothing.
No, our media shows
few people that go out and protest, but it's actually really big protest all around the country.
Over a year, there are demonstrations every Saturday night, and that's what actually caused to open all these investigations, the pressure of the people.
Yeah, that's where it's going to come from. So, I mean, I guess you guys are in a very unique position in a sense, because there is so much frustration in Israel right now, time for what you guys are doing. So, I guess I would really love for our next, the next meeting to really talk more about, hopefully the merits of what we're doing and why specifically, how we think it's going to go forward when eventually all of society is involved with this. So. It's been really, really great speaking to you all, and I hope we can speak again and hopefully talk a bit more about that. Thank you.
Nathan, do you believe that you have?
But yeah, if no one has any more questions, maybe till next time.
Yeah, just one more question. Do you believe that you have a chance to get into the parliament?
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, it's obviously, but it's certainly possible. I think one of the next chance for us, I think, there's a federal election. Obviously, there's a chance there to get into the upper house. We have to get a considerable amount of the primary vote to get an opportunity for that. But the next really big opportunity is the Victorian state election, and that's much easier to win a seat in that election than it is the federal election. That's next year. So, with one seat, then it becomes much easier after that because of publicity. So, I think that's maybe our next best shot, but nevertheless, the next federal election will put a lot of work into that, and hopefully, if not win a seat, hopefully come out by gaining a lot more attention. And there's also money that the federal government essentially, as part of the electoral process, if you get more than 4% of the primary vote, there's electoral funding as well. So that's another good reason really to contest hard and hopefully build a profile and secure some funding.
The funding is the issue, huh?
Well, yeah, as you guys know, right? It's not easy and cheap to do this stuff.
I can tell you something about this. There is another political party that starts in Israel with money that wants to run direct democracy, and they got money. When the people know that they are together into something, they are now trying to build what we already have. I believe that they will do it faster than us.
Right.
But here, if you see the stuff that sits with you, the stuff is much more important than the money they got, because it's the people that believe. The belief is what makes the change. So
can I ask why you guys aren't working together?
What?
Why are you not working with those guys? Is there a reason that you're not working with them as opposed to as a different party?
They got their own wills that they want to put inside. I don't know. They don't. They were invited to join us, to be with us, but they wanted to have their own party. And there is someone that put money, and he's got his own issues for this party. I don't know what the issues are, but you cannot.
So they're not a true direct democracy.
Exactly.
If someone control the money, then we believe that it's a problem to create a direct democracy, because if you give a lot of money, so you probably have some kind of interest.
Have you guys spoken with this party at all? Do you know them personally or familiar with them? Or?
Yeah, I know the guy that runs the party. I like this guy also. He's a friend of mine. I don't know the people that put the money inside. Who are they? And I don't know what they want really, because they invited to meet with the team of and they are still invited. I think that we'll have a meeting soon in February. With there are some small parties that wants to group together. So I was invited to this meeting, and I'll meet them there.
So we kind of believe that the founding of direct democracy need to be absolutely in transparency in everything. Otherwise, it's a big problem again. So this is one of the issues. Okay, Nathan, we'd like to thank you a lot and to wish you good luck.
And likewise, it was a pleasure to meet you all and to speak. And look, happy to continue the conversation. I hopefully we can work together some more. And yeah, best of luck in the next steps of your journey as well.
Okay, and then Nathan, please check about the video if we can use the parts of the animation, and also about the meeting.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
If you want to make the political meeting, let's arrange it and do a direct and bring some questions ahead. Let's put some questions that will interest also the here in Israel. The people here in Israel will be interested to know what's going on in Australia. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. I will. So I'll hopefully get back to you sometime next week on that.
Great. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Especially you, Nathan.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
תודה רבה, חברים.
אוקיי.
חבר'ה, אני חייב לעוף, אבל כמה דברים שנראה לי שווה שזה. דבר ראשון, אם יש מישהו